Hey, welcome to In the Den with Dr. Jenn, a safe and pleasurable place to explore female sexuality in a comprehensive manner and start thinking about female sexuality outside the box. So today, I'm very excited about my guest, Nicholas Tana, who is the director of a new documentary on masturbation. Why are you doing a documentary on masturbation?
Well, I think it's a subject that touches us all one way or another. It's something that I felt, for once, it hasn't been done before, or that I know of. There's no real comprehensive film out there on masturbation. And I've always been fascinated with sexual taboos in general, but especially sexual ones. And I think there's a lot of misinformation surrounding it, a lot of myths that needed to be debunked. And this has been a really good opportunity to do that.
So how many people have you talked to at this point?
I think by the end of this next production trip, we'll be at about 44 experts in many different scenarios. I mean, many different walks of life, from religious leaders even to priests. We have a Buddhist monk covering the moral section of it. And we've even got plenty of sexologists and educators. And so it's really comprehensive. We even have a politician, porn stars.
Perfect. Well, what's been the most shocking to you? Something that somebody said or a perspective you hadn't considered? Or
the most shocking thing so far to me actually has been the resistance that I've received from this. And maybe it's me, and maybe I have a little bit more of an open mindset to sexuality. I don't know. But in trying to get guests and people to talk about it, I've been very surprised at how difficult it is when they know that it's a subject about masturbation.
Is it a fear of having to personally talk about masturbation, or even academics talking about it?
Well, I think personally there's definitely the fears for everybody. I think everyone gets a little uncomfortable when you're talking about anything to do with especially masturbation. Masturbation has a lot of negative connotations with it, and you know, guys, especially growing up, if you're even thought to masturbate, I mean, it's definitely not something you want coming out, no pun intended, in a high school audience, right? It's to be called a jerk off is very negative.
Right.
So I think there's always been that social stigma, and then women, they've always have this sort of idea that, oh, if they're too sexual, it could be something bad. So I think on a personal level, it really does create a lot of inhibitions. But then on a professional level, we've got the educational community especially. Anytime we're attempting to interview educators or professors, there's this resistance from the school system and the PRs in the school system, like, oh, you're talking about sex, and okay, maybe, and you're talking about masturbation. Definitely not. You know, it just seems to be too touchy.
Yeah, and it's funny, and it's like they don't even have to explain it. It's a knee-jerk reaction that people feel very entitled to. Like, it's just masturbation, talking about it is wrong.
Right, and well, the other thing is someone made the argument that, okay, well, it's just not something we need to talk about. It's like hemorrhoids, you know? No one wants to talk about hemorrhoids, right? But I thought about that, and I'm like, hemorrhoids aren't pleasurable.
Right?
Masturbation can be.
Well, it can be, ideally.
Well, that goes to another subject. I mean, we've had some talk about, you know, there's auto asphyxiation we go into, and masturbation injuries, and that's fascinating too. What's too much, and is there too much?
Well, where's the overlap between pleasure and pain, and where did you learn that? But in some ways, it's some of the same nerve pattern, you know, pathways, so it kind of makes sense. But yeah, that gets into a little sketchy area. So
sticky areas.
Sticky, yes. And so specifically, since my show is about female sexuality, and you mentioned a little bit about women before, any surprising findings you're talking to folks about female sexuality and masturbation?
As far as females, I'm surprised that they're as uncomfortable with it as it seems. Men are definitely uncomfortable with it, but they joke around it, and they do talk about it, and it is more socially acceptable, I guess. But women, I've been surprised at how uncomfortable they've been. And then the other aspect of that is I've talked to sex educators and some females, and we did a wonderful interview with Betty Dotson, and I think she's nearing 80 now, and I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but but anyway, she's getting older, we'll say, and she was very comfortable talking about sexuality, and she actually shocked me. And then there's that surprise every once in a while. I sit back and think, I'm making a movie about masturbation. This is what I'm doing. This is literally my job, And I guess it's always filled with some surprises.
Yeah, it is funny to take that moment to step back and be like, how did I get on this path? And how lucky am I?
I think it's a blast.
Awesome. All right, and our final question is our randomly generated Gorilla Soapbox question. Oh. Do you have names for your genitalia? And if yes, what?
Interesting. Well, it depends on what country I'm in, actually. If I'm in France, which I was recently, it's Pierre. I've never really, seriously, never named my genitalia. I found that I've had girlfriends that have.
Like Little Nicholas or something?
Actually, on the French note, Petit Nicolas was one, actually. And the petit part bothered me a little bit.
Yeah.
So what about Grand Nicolas? Yeah. But no, I don't personally have any names for my genitalia.
Okay. All right, well, thank you for sharing. And if you want to learn more about Sticky the Movie and this fabulous documentary that's going to be coming out, check out this website here.